Hello, my name is Jesus Rivas, and I'm going to present the importance of the DNA study for my biology class to the professor Alan Herrera. What is DNA? Well, DNA is an abbreviation of deoxyribonucleic acid, which is an hereditary material in all humans in almost all other organisms. Nearly every cell in a person's body has the same DNA. This is a genetic code that determines all the characteristics for a living thing in our body. Who discovered the DNA? Well, this discovery was by the two scientists named James Watson and Francis Crick in 1953. They called this discovery, or they first called the DNA as the double helix. With this discovery, they mark a milestone in history of science and gave rise to modern molecular biology within this discovery. It means that they, with this discovery, open a new world in science and biology, with help the other scientists open their mind and try to find new or research new things in our body that we or they thought they don't exist. So it's a good thing about this discovery, not just for the DNA discovered. Well, where is the DNA located? Well, the DNA, the most of the DNA is located in the cell nucleus that receives the name nuclear DNA, but a small amount of the DNA can be found in the mitochondria, and the mitochondria, where you can find a little piece of DNA, are the structures within cells that convert the energy from food into a form that cells can use. So the DNA you can find in the cells. In this particular cell, the nucleus, which is called the nuclear DNA, and in the mitochondria, they use the process to convert food into energy that cells can use. Well, here I'm gonna talk about the types of the DNA, and there are four types of the DNA, which is adenine, guanine, thymine, and cytosine. The first one is one of the two purines with the nucleotide bases. It consists of two rings, one with six members, the other with five members. This one is made of carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen. The other one, the guanine, is the other purine nucleotide in the DNA. That this one pairs with the cytosine in the DNA structure. In this one, it has a little piece of oxygen and carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen. The third one, it's a pyramid base that binds to adenine in the DNA structure. This one, this one instead of the two ring purine structures, the purine structures have one ring and six members. And the last one, it's also a pyramid base which binds to guanine in the DNA structure. This one consists of oxygen, hydrogen, carbon, and nitrogen. And like all pyramid bases, cytosine has a one ring structure and six members. The double helix, this is the name that the scientists James and Francis put to the DNA, which is a description of the structure of the DNA molecule, which a DNA structure consists of two strands that wind around of each other like a twisted leather. It's like two parallel spiral staircase that they don't touch it. The two primary strands don't touch each other, but they are connected with the nucleobases or the base pairs. And this one, the building blocks of the DNA, it's also like a what is the DNA made of? And it's the DNA is made of like with chemical building blocks called nucleotides, which is building blocks consist or are made of three parts. It's the first one is a phosphate group, the second one is a sugar group, and one of four nitrogen bases, which are the four that I talked before, that are the building blocks for the DNA. These are um, important points and a little but important points of the DNA that says the information in the DNA is stored as a code made of four chemical bases, which are the four that I talk about: the adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. Human human DNA consists of about 3 billion bases, and more than 99% of those bases are the same in all people. The other sequence or of these bases determines the information available for building and maintaining an organism, similar to the way in which letter of the alphabet appears in a certain order to form words and sentences. Another point is that an important property of the DNA is that it can be replicated or make copies of it itself. Each strand of DNA in the double helix can serve as a pattern for duplicating these sequences of bases. This is critical when cells divide because each new cell needs to have an exact copy of the DNA present in the old cell. Why DNA is important? Well, the DNA it's vital for all living beings, even plants. It is important for inheritance, coding for proteins, and the genetic structure guide for life and its process. Why DNA is important? I think the DNA contains the instructions needed for an organism to develop, survive, and reproduce. These DNA sequences must be converted in message that can be used to produce proteins. Like I said before, I mean the cell has their own code, their own function. Well, they can with the food, for example, they need to convert it, they need to transform it in something that the cells can feed from. That's why the DNA is kind of tricky with all the building blocks that it has and all that conforms the DNA. But each little thing has their own function, so that's why the DNA is important for the human being and all living organisms in the planet. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Thank you for your time, and thank you, Professor, for listening to my presentation. I hope you like it and enjoyed it. Thank you.